The entire alien fleet was ready to declare war on humanity, until one human soldier made a decision that no alien science could explain. No one on Outpost Alios 9 expected history to change that day. Corporal Adrian Vale was not a hero. He was not famous. He was not even particularly important in the grand military structure of Earth's Frontier Defense Corps. He was just a medic assigned to a quiet monitoring station near the outer trade lanes between human space and the powerful Valari Empire. The Valari were ancient, advanced, elegant. Their ships moved like living silver through space. Their technology was centuries ahead of humanity's, and their patience for humans was very thin. Then the distress signal came. It was not in any human language, but the AI translated enough to make everyone in the control room freeze. Royal vessel down. Air critical. Immediate medical assistance required. Adrian did not hesitate. While commanders debated protocol and diplomatic consequences, he was already pulling on his field medical kit. The Valari shuttle had crash-landed on the rocky surface outside the base perimeter. Its curved hull glowed faintly blue, cracked open like an egg. Valari Royal Guards lay scattered around it, their silver armor blackened from plasma fire. It was not an accident. Someone had shot them down. Inside the broken vessel, Adrian found her. Princess Lyri of the Valari Dominion. Her skin shimmered faintly like moonlight. Her long white hair was stained with deep violet blood. Her breathing was shallow. A shard of alloy had pierced her side. Adrian dropped beside her. Vitals dropping, his scanner whispered. Her blood chemistry flashed red warnings across his display. Valari biology was complex: copper-based oxygen transport, bioluminescent neural threads, layered circulatory pathways. No human blood substitute would work. She needs a transfusion, he muttered. Negative, Command barked in his earpiece. We have no compatibility data. Do not attempt cross-species. She dies in 3 minutes, Adrian said calmly. Silence answered him. He checked his own profile. O negative. Universal donor. He looked at the unconscious alien princess, a being raised to rule one of the strongest civilizations in known space. Then he made the simplest, most human decision imaginable. He rolled up his sleeve. If this kills me, he muttered, someone better write a decent report. He connected the emergency direct transfer line. For 1 terrifying second, nothing happened. Then Lyri's body reacted. Her skin began to glow. Not faintly. Brilliantly. Light ran beneath her skin like lightning trapped in glass. Symbols formed across her arms, ancient Valari markings Adrian did not understand. Then the glow spread to him. Pain shot through his veins, not burning, not freezing, but overwhelming. As if his blood was learning a new language in real time. The monitors screamed. Heart rates synchronized. Neural resonance detected. Unknown biolink forming. Adrian clenched his jaw but did not disconnect. Come on, he whispered. Stay with me. Lyri's breathing deepened. Her eyes opened. Silver. Bright. Focused directly on him. She inhaled sharply as if surfacing from deep water. And then she spoke, in perfect English. Our pulses are one. Then she fainted again. By the time Valari warships arrived, Adrian was sitting in medical quarantine with enough diplomats outside to start a small government. Valari High Commander Tarev himself stood inside the chamber, studying Adrian like a puzzle. You should be dead, Tarev said evenly. I get that a lot, Adrian replied. Princess Lyri sat upright beside him, fully conscious now. The wound in her side had healed completely. Not scarred. Healed. The Valari scientists were in quiet panic. Human blood should have been rejected instantly. Instead, something unprecedented had occurred. Valari royal blood carried bioquantum encoding, a genetic lattice that bonded only within their species during sacred life-saving rituals. It was called the Pulse Covenant. It had not occurred with an outsider in over 4,000 years. Until now. Lyri looked at Adrian, and something unspoken passed between them. He felt it. A steady echo beneath his heartbeat. Not invasive. Not painful. Just Present. You stabilized my core biology, Lyrie said calmly. Your blood adapted. Blood doesn't adapt, one Valari scientist snapped. Adrian shrugged. Human blood does a lot of things you wouldn't expect. Tarev narrowed his eyes. You have formed a pulse covenant with our future empress. Adrian blinked. I'm sorry, what? Lyrie's expression softened slightly. The covenant binds two lives. Our nervous systems are partially synchronized. Distance will cause strain. Extended separation could be fatal. Silence filled the room. A human medic. Bound. To the Valari air. Outside the station, Valari warships powered weapons online. Because there was another problem. The crash had not been an accident. Evidence showed internal sabotage. Someone within the Valari hierarchy had tried to assassinate Lyrie before the peace accords with Earth were signed. If she died, war would follow. If humans were blamed, extinction would follow. But she had survived. Because a human broke protocol. Because a human gave blood. And now the entire political structure of two civilizations had shifted. Tarev studied Adrian again. You understand, the commander said slowly, that if harm comes to her, you will answer for it. Adrian met his gaze steadily. Then I guess I won't let harm come to her. Lyrie stood. The room seemed to bend around her presence. I will remain on this station, she declared. With him. Shock rippled through both delegations. You cannot, a Valari diplomat whispered. I can, she replied. Her silver eyes never left Adrian. Our pulses are aligned. I feel his courage. His defiance. His optimism. Adrian cleared his throat. That might just be stubbornness. She smiled faintly. Then I will learn stubbornness. And in that quiet medical chamber, something remarkable happened. Not domination. Not fear. Not superior alien technology crushing a younger species. But cooperation. Unexpected. Illogical. Human. A single act of sacrifice had forced an empire to reconsider what it thought it knew about humanity. And far above the planet, hidden in deep orbit, the true architect of the assassination attempt watched the reports come in. The human survived. The princess bonded. The war narrative collapsing. The unknown figure leaned back in frustration. Then we escalate, the shadow whispered. Because they did not fear the Valari princess. They feared something far more dangerous. A human willing to bleed for someone not his own. And what might happen if that human refused to back down? They tried to kill her again the very next night. It happened quietly, the way professional killers always work. No alarms. No explosions. Just a tiny shift in oxygen pressure in the medical wing and a soft click in the air vents. Corporal Adrian Vale was half asleep when his chest tightened like a fist closing around his heart. He jolted upright. It was not his fear. It was hers. Across the station, Princess Lyrie gasped in her sleep, one hand clutching her throat. Adrian felt it through the pulse covenant like a wire pulled tight between them. He ran. Bare feet hit cold metal flooring. Lights dimmed to night cycle blue. He ignored every rule about containment and quarantine. He sprinted through corridor after corridor, guided by something deeper than maps. By the time he reached the medical wing, the air already tasted wrong. Thin. Bitter. Like static. A nurse lay unconscious near the doorway. Adrian slapped the emergency seal panel. Open. The door hesitated, then slid aside. Inside, Lyrie was on her knees beside the bed, coughing hard, silver hair spilling over her face. The oxygen system was whispering a steady warning tone. Adrian didn't think. He moved fast. He grabbed the nearest wall mask, ripped it free, and shoved it toward her. Breathe, he ordered. Her eyes were wide, unfocused. She took the mask, inhaled, and the glow beneath her skin calmed slightly. Adrian checked the room vents and instantly saw the problem. The air filter panel had been tampered with. Something had been pumped into the medical wing, a microaerosol designed to bond with Valari lung tissue and shut it down slowly. Quietly. without leaving obvious evidence. It was a perfect assassination method. Except the assassin forgot one thing. Humans notice patterns. Humans notice details. And humans are paranoid by nature. Adrian slammed the emergency purge lever. The vents roared. The room filled with clean air, blasting the toxin out into containment scrubbers. Lyrie's breathing steadied. But Adrian's hands were shaking. "Someone is inside this station," he said. Lyrie stared at him, then touched his wrist. Her fingers were cool, but the bond carried something hotter. Anger. Not fragile royal anger. Warrior anger. "They want the treaty to fail," she whispered. "Because if it fails, the Valari will wipe Earth from the stars." Adrian swallowed. "Then we don't let it fail." A new voice cut through the doorway. "Step away from the princess." Adrian turned. Valari security units stood at the entrance, weapons raised. Their armor gleamed like liquid steel. Behind them was High Commander Tarev, his expression stone. "Human," Tarev said, "you were ordered to remain in quarantine." Adrian didn't move. "I felt her choking," he said. "That wasn't a medical accident. Someone poisoned the vents." A Valari officer scanned the filters and stiffened. Toxin residue confirmed. Tarev's eyes narrowed. For the first time, his confidence cracked just a little. Because this meant the assassination attempt was not over. It meant the traitor had resources, access, and patience. Lyrie stood slowly, still holding the oxygen mask. Her gaze moved over her guards, then returned to Adrian. Through the bond, Adrian felt her decision forming like a blade being drawn. "Commander," Lyrie said, "lock down this station. No ship enters or leaves without my direct command. And assign the human to my side." Tarev's jaw tightened. "The human is not trained for royal protection." Lyrie's voice went colder. "The human saved my life twice in 3 days. Your trained guards died around me." Silence. That hit hard. Even the guards looked uneasy. Tarev glanced at Adrian as if seeing him for the first time not as a weak outsider, but as a variable no one predicted. "You understand," Tarev said quietly. "If you fail her, your world pays." Adrian nodded. "Then I won't fail." They set up a temporary command room inside the station's observation dome. Outside the glass, the planet below turned slowly, dusty and distant. Beyond that, Valari warships held position like patient predators. Inside, Adrian sat at a table with military leaders who could erase continents. He should have been terrified. But humans adapted fast when fear was no longer useful. A Valari intelligence officer placed a holographic projection over the table. Crash records. Internal logs. Access lists. Every person who could have tampered with the oxygen systems. 15 names. Valari. Human. Mixed diplomatic staff. All of them had clearance, the officer said. Lyrie leaned forward. "We look for motive." Tarev spoke like steel. "The treaty will force Valari to stop expanding into human-aligned sectors. Many in the Dominion think humans are too young to deserve space." Adrian looked at the list carefully. Then he frowned. "What's the common link?" he asked. The Valari officer tilted their head. "They are cleared personnel." "No," Adrian said. "I mean a practical link. Clearance is a label. I'm talking behavior." He pointed at 3 names. All 3 were on night shift rotation for the last 2 weeks. And all 3 accessed maintenance corridors within 1 hour of the crash recovery. The Valari officer stiffened. "That data is internal. How did you?" Adrian shrugged. "I was bored in quarantine. I asked the station AI for access logs. Humans read logs like bedtime stories." Lyrie looked amused. Tarev looked uncomfortable. "Give me more," Adrian said. The officer expanded the hologram. Footprints. Door openings. Pressure changes. Adrian stared. Then he saw it. A pattern in the numbers. Not big. Small. The kind of detail humans noticed because humans had spent centuries surviving by noticing small things. The oxygen vent tampering wasn't manual, Adrian said. Lyrie's eyes sharpened. Explain. The panel was opened. Yes. But the toxin injection is too smooth for a person. It looks automated. He tapped the hologram. This pressure curve is clean. Machine clean. That means a drone. A maintenance microbot. Something small enough to hide, smart enough to follow orders. The Valari intelligence officer hesitated. Maintenance microbots are not allowed in Royal Medical Wings. Adrian nodded. That's why the killer used a human-made cleaning drone. Silence again. The Valari looked confused. Lyrie's eyes widened slightly. Tarev's expression darkened. Humans. Humans used cheap drones everywhere. Cleaning drones. Repair drones. Delivery drones. Small machines that did boring jobs. But that was the trick. Aliens saw them as harmless. Humans saw them as tools. And tools could be turned into weapons. Adrian stood. Show me drone inventory, he said. The officer hesitated. Tarev lifted one finger. Permission. The hologram updated. 27 human drones registered. Only 26 active. Adrian exhaled slowly. One is missing. Lyrie's voice was soft. Find it. They moved fast. Station corridors were long and quiet, but Adrian knew how to hunt. Not like an alien soldier. Like a human who grew up fixing broken machines with limited parts. He and Lyrie followed the access logs into the lower maintenance deck. The air smelled like oil and recycled heat. The lights flickered. Adrian's pulse thumped harder. Lyrie's pulse echoed it. Then both pulses shifted at once. Adrian stopped. He felt her fear spike. She felt his suspicion. Someone was close. A soft whirring sound came from the darkness. Adrian raised his hand, signaling silence. Lyrie's guards moved to flank, weapons ready. But Adrian stepped forward alone. Because human cleverness sometimes meant doing the thing that looked stupid to everyone else. He crouched near a grated vent. The whirring stopped. Then a tiny drone rolled out slowly, no bigger than a lunchbox. It had a cleaning brush on one side. A soft sensor eye on the front. And strapped beneath it. A thin vial of toxin. A trigger mechanism. Adrian's eyes narrowed. The drone froze. As if it knew it had been seen. Then it suddenly lunged forward, racing toward Lyrie like a bullet on wheels. Guards fired plasma. The shots hit the wall, missing because the drone was low and fast. Lyrie stepped back. But Adrian didn't. He threw himself forward and caught the drone with both hands. It slammed into his chest, buzzing violently. The toxin vial cracked. A fine mist sprayed into the air, right into Adrian's face. He inhaled it before he could stop. Lyrie screamed. Not with her voice. With the bond. Adrian staggered, dropping the drone. His lungs tightened instantly. The toxin wasn't designed for humans. But alien poisons didn't need to be perfect. They just needed to be strong enough. Adrian hit his knees. He couldn't breathe. He heard distant voices shouting. He felt Lyrie grabbing him, trying to lift him. Her hands trembled. Through the bond, Adrian felt something he hadn't expected. Pure panic. Not political panic. Not royal fear. Personal fear. Lyrie was terrified of losing him. Then she did something no Valari princess was trained to do. Something no alien scientist would approve. She pressed her palm to his chest. Her skin flared with silver light. And she whispered a single word in her ancient language. The pulse covenant surged. Adrian felt his blood move, not just pumping, but responding. Changing. Adapting. His lungs loosened slightly. Just enough air to gasp. Lyrie's eyes blazed. Breathe. Adrian coughed. The tightness eased. His body fought the toxin like it was a battlefield. Human immune systems didn't negotiate. They attacked. They adapted. They survived. Adrian inhaled again. He was still weak, but alive. The guards stared at him. At Lyrie. At the fact that she had just used royal bioenergy to stabilize a human. Tarev arrived moments later, eyes sharp with fury. What happened? Lyrie stood, shoulders squared. They tried to kill me with a human drone. Adrian stopped it. Tarev looked at Adrian, then at the shattered vial. His jaw clenched. This traitor has turned your own tools against you. Adrian wiped his mouth, breathing hard. Then we turn our tools back. Later that night, Adrian sat in the observation dome again, still coughing occasionally, while Lyrie stood beside him. The stars outside were calm. The situation inside was not. Lyrie spoke softly. The Dominion will not accept a bonded empress who is seen as weak, she said. If they learn I used royal energy on a human, they will call me compromised. Adrian looked up. And if they learn someone tried to assassinate you twice, they'll start purging each other. Yes, Lyrie said. Which will lead to civil fracture. Adrian leaned back. Humans didn't have empires that lasted 4,000 years. But humans knew chaos. Humans had survived it many times. So we need proof, Adrian said. Hard proof. And we need to expose the traitor in a way that stops war instead of starting another one. Lyrie stared at him. How? Adrian smiled, tired and stubborn. By doing what humans do best, he said. We set a trap so clever they don't even realize they're walking into it. Lyrie's eyes narrowed with interest. Explain. Adrian looked out at the Valari fleet. They think humans are simple, he said. Weak. Easy to push around. He turned to her. Let's prove them wrong. And in the darkness of Alios 9, the plan began. Because the traitor had one more move left. And humanity was about to answer with something no alien empire understood. Not strength. Not numbers. But imagination. The trap was simple. So simple that no Valari strategist believed it would work. That was exactly why it would. Adrian stood in the command dome beside Princess Lyrie, watching as a secure message was transmitted across Valari channels. The message was short. Princess Lyrie will be transported to Valari Prime within 36 hours to finalize the peace treaty in person. It was a lie. Lyrie was not going anywhere. But whoever had tried to kill her would not be able to ignore that announcement. They will act, Tarev said quietly. If the traitor believes she leaves our protection, they will attempt one final strike. Adrian nodded. And this time, we'll be waiting. Valari commanders still looked doubtful. Their culture valued precision, power, overwhelming response. Humans valued something different. Deception. Improvisation. Reading between the lines. Over the next 12 hours, Alios 9 became a stage. A transport shuttle was prepared in full view of every surveillance system. Valari guards marched in ceremonial formation. Cargo containers were loaded. Official seals were placed. Every movement was recorded and allowed to accidentally leak into internal networks. Meanwhile, in a lower hangar deck hidden from public logs, Lyrie remained safely inside a shielded chamber with Adrian and a small trusted team. Humans lie very comfortably, Lyrie observed as Adrian monitored data streams. We call it strategy, he replied. Through the Pulse Covenant, he felt her tension rising. Not fear for herself. Fear for him. The traitor's next move would not be subtle. It would be decisive. And probably lethal. Adrian, she said quietly, if something goes wrong. He cut her off gently. It won't. You cannot know that. He looked at her, steady and calm. No, he said. But humans don't wait for certainty. We move anyway. That was something the Valari were still learning. The false shuttle launch began at 0900 station time. Engines ignited. Energy signatures flared brightly enough to be seen by ships in orbit. To anyone watching, Princess Lyrie was inside that shuttle. Ascending. Vulnerable. Exactly as planned. Adrian sat before a holographic display tracking every signal within 50,000 kilometers. Come on, he muttered. Valari officers stood around him, silent. They were warriors, not gamblers. This felt like gambling. Then it happened. A Valari cruiser in high orbit shifted position slightly. Too slightly for most to notice. But Adrian noticed. Ship designation, he asked. Cruiser Valaka, a Valari officer answered. Assigned to outer perimeter. Has it requested repositioning clearance? No. Adrian's eyes sharpened. Zoom on its lower battery array. The hologram expanded. At first, nothing looked unusual. Then he saw it. A tiny fluctuation in the cruiser's energy flow. Not enough to trigger alarms, but enough to power something small. Launching microprojectile, Adrian said softly. Tarev stiffened. Impossible. That ship is under my direct command. Then someone inside your direct command is the traitor. The projectile launched. It was not large enough to show as a missile. It was a stealth kinetic dart, designed to puncture the shuttle hull and decompress it instantly. If Lyrie had truly been aboard, she would have died before anyone understood what happened. The dart streaked toward the shuttle. Valari defense systems detected it too late. But Adrian had planned for that. Now, he said. From behind Alios 9 station hull, a small cluster of human defense drones burst forward. Cheap. Compact. Fast. They intercepted the dart in open space. A flash of light. Silence. The shuttle continued climbing, untouched. The command dome fell into stunned quiet. Tarev stared at the hologram. The Valaka fired without authorization. Adrian leaned back. Got you. Lyrie felt it through the bond, the surge of human satisfaction when a plan works. But it wasn't over yet. The cruiser Valaka suddenly powered its main engines. It wasn't retreating. It was turning its weapons toward Alios 9. The traitor had realized the deception and decided to escalate. All batteries charging, a Valari officer shouted. The cruiser's plasma cannons glowed bright blue. Tarev's face hardened. They would destroy this entire station to silence the failure. Adrian's jaw tightened. That station has 2,000 humans on it. And Valari personnel, Tarev added. For the first time, there was no doubt left. This was not about stopping a treaty. This was about power. A faction within the Valari Dominion wanted war. Adrian moved fast. Open all channels to the Valaka, he ordered. A Valari officer hesitated. Tarev nodded once. Channel opened. The traitor appeared on screen. Captain Rethan. Highly decorated. Trusted. And now clearly desperate. You have failed, Rethan said coldly. The princess is corrupted by human influence. The Covenant proves it. Lyrie stepped forward into view. I stand here alive because of that influence, she said calmly. You attempted to murder your future empress. Rethan's expression did not change. The Dominion must remain pure. Humans are unstable, emotional, dangerous. Adrian smiled slightly. You're right, he said. The Valari officers stared at him. Even Lyrie blinked. Adrian continued. Humans are emotional. We take risks. We break rules. We bleed for strangers. He leaned closer to the camera. And we don't quit. Behind him, human engineers were already working. Not on weapons. On code. The Valaka's systems were advanced. But like all advanced systems, they relied on network communication. And humans had spent centuries hacking each other long before they met aliens. Rethan, Adrian said, keeping him talking, did you know human cleaning drones use open-source firmware? Rethan frowned slightly. That makes them adaptable, Adrian continued. It also makes them creative. On the hologram, the Valaka's power signatures flickered. Tarev looked sharply at his officers. What is happening? A Valari technician swallowed. The cruiser's auxiliary systems are receiving unauthorized update packets. Adrian grinned. Remember that missing maintenance drone? He asked. Lyrie's eyes widened. It hadn't just been an assassination device. It had been a transmitter. When Adrian grabbed it, he hadn't only stopped the toxin. He had activated its backdoor protocol. Human firmware piggybacked onto Valari encrypted channels during the attempted strike. And now it was inside the cruiser's system. The Valaka's weapons dimmed. Engine output stuttered. Rethan's calm facade cracked. "What have you done?" "Nothing permanent," Adrian said cheerfully. "Just introduced your ship to human creativity." Within seconds, the cruiser's weapon systems shut down completely. Power rerouted to internal lockdown. Escape pods sealed. Command overrides frozen. The mighty Valari cruiser drifted helplessly in orbit. Silence filled the dome. Then Valari officers began issuing rapid orders. Boarding ships launched. Rethan was taken into custody within the hour. No battle. No station destroyed. No war ignited. Just one human medic who refused to think like an empire. Later, as Valari Prime transmitted formal apologies and internal arrest reports, Lyrie stood beside Adrian once more in the observation dome. The crisis had passed. The treaty would proceed. But something deeper had changed. Tarev approached them slowly. "You could have destroyed the Valaka," he said. Adrian shrugged. "Would have made things messy. You chose restraint." Lyrie smiled softly. "That is the part they do not understand yet." Tarev studied Adrian with new respect. "Humans," he said slowly, "are not weak." Adrian chuckled. "We just look that way." Lyrie stepped closer to him. Through the pulse covenant, he felt her steady warmth. No panic now. No fear. Just certainty. "The Dominion will remember this," she said. "Not as the day a human bonded to a princess." She met his eyes. "But as the day humanity proved it belongs among the stars." Adrian looked out at the fleet. At the warships that had once seemed unstoppable. At the empire that had once looked down on Earth. All it took was one act of compassion. One risky decision. One stubborn refusal to let someone die. Humans were not the strongest. Not the oldest. Not the most advanced. But they adapted. They imagined. They fought not only with weapons, but with heart. And sometimes, that was more powerful than any empire.